And we is Chickasaw. You hear me? We is Lumbee. Nigga. Fuck FBA.
I forgot how funny that was. Shout out to Bustetto, man. Dude, Bustetto, you really do some good stuff, bro. Man, you definitely do, man. We trying to find a way we can get you on the team, bro. You do some really good editing. If nothing else, I could use you to learn from you. To help me out with these videos. Take what you know and maybe be able to shorten up my process. But for real, shout out to you. And shout out to my man DQ, man. I can't, for some reason, I can't figure out how to switch this over so I can play some of your stuff on our commercials. So if one of y'all try to read it,
no one left.
Huh?
It's gonna be in your right hand corner.
I don't know how to get to it, but we got it like under a bunch of different stuff. Like we got a brass part, we got a logic part.
Oh, that's up top. That's up top. Yeah, up top.
And it ain't switching. I don't know what that is, so I'm afraid to leave out, and I think it's gonna shut it down. If you out there, man, if I could get you to show up for a second, maybe I can fix that. But anyway, we going good. We running. I could play something for a commercial.
My point being, this man, whenever he act like that, right, he drinking. He got caught. You know how you try to hide it. But then, he's been like that for years now, bro.
Hilarious.
Right, so now that puts a whole different light on this whole situation. I'm up there arguing with people under the influence heavily. Like, how they supposed to understand what I'm saying, bro? Like, that's like a drunk professor, teaching heavily. Come on, So we're already behind the curve of not being experts and going and having some formal training in school. We're already behind that, and then we want to be drunk on top of all that? And then think we're going to be coherent and remember the things we saying about each other? Remember I used to say that? They were like, no, I ain't drunk, come on. Why don't you debate him? Why would I debate a drunk, Y'all kept saying that. I was like, dude, he's a drunk, bro. He is. And y'all think I'm not even being funny, That's what it is, And now, based off my situation, what I've been through.
What is color?
I know it's a struggle, bro. Right? I don't think it leaves sense so much.
We in a time where we argue in FBA African American. Now we have to remember that color is a systematic approach. Color is used to create racism. Color is used to create systematic racism, capitalism. Okay? So if you don't own the DNA rights to the biological centers that you do in AfricanAncestry.com, all these, how could you know that 100% that when you do these DNA tests, that is genetically going back to Homo sapiens? You don't know. Because if you saying that your grandfather, your grandmother is, say, 10 generations in America, right? And you go to these DNA banks, are they putting your DNA with 10 generations of ancestors on the land of South Virginia, Kansas, Missouri, Ohio, the original bomb builder's place? No, they're not. So you argue in color, and the tests you take in biologically, independently in the systems, is using that to create DNA off of you. You see? So why you arguing color and species, haplotype and groups? They're mixing you into groups to create blood types. Because if your grandparents were, say, 100 years in here, remember, these test markers wasn't around, these biomarkers, these haplotype groups wasn't around. Although we researched them, we know haplotype groups, we know the genes coming out of West Africa, we know the pool coming out of West Africa, we know the pool coming out of Senegal, we know that the pools coming out of Kemet, the Arab desert, the Middle East, all that was tied into what they call today Egypt. So that's why you got Malutos and Kemet and so forth. You see? So you're arguing about if you are African American, if you're foundational Black American, your haplotype of your DNA goes back the lineage as far as it could go back to your recorded document in here. So if it's the Lapina people, if you're dealing with these people now, you got to know who is your historically ancestors, because remember, you're tied into systems that was not there when your ancestors wasn't around. So if you're going back 10 generations, 100 years, say 1925, was these tests there? No. You see? Okay? So you have to know that color is a systematic approach. Your genetics, if you're in the Caribbean, you're dealing with the Aboriginal, the Arcoats, okay, the pre-Columbian Columbus dynasty. In America, you're dealing with the dynasties of what? You're looking at Mexicans that's mixed with Spanish. You understand? So your omics heads, are you looking at pure people that's the Lapina people that was here in America? The Aboriginal people that was here in America? No. You're not looking at original archetypes. You see? So you're worrying about skin color, whereas a racism approach. Foundational Black America, no matter what set you claim, no matter Indigenous, Moabite, you're still claiming it under where? Tyranny. You're still claiming it under capitalism. You're still claiming it. It's only how many lands you could go in Louisiana that's owned and preserved by your people. Remember Louis Plantier? Go and study the names. You see, I must clean up the differences for you. Okay? So, if you go to the Watts Revolution, if you go to the Somalians in Florida, the Somalians was the original people, right? Part of that land in Florida, the Somalian people, right? America was here. Why you had rebellion, why you had uprising, why you had the Watts Revolution. Okay? The revolution was to create a distinction between your people and racism, colorism, sexism. All your color creeds and codes came from them. That's why they created the Christian codes, because the Christian codes was to give them, the Christians in the South, in the red states, was to give them codes to dominate and overtake unions. That's why it's the constitutional laws of the Christian codes in the red state, Kansas, Utah, Missouri, these places, Dakota. So you're arguing about red and white states that you don't own. You own the land by deed, by nation, by creed. Okay? So if you're dealing with deed, nation, and creed, deed is saying that you have the papers to say I'm the original person. How far do your ancestry go that was documented in the archives? So if you're not dealing with it from an archive place, you're dealing with a generational place. You're not dealing from that place, you're dealing with it from a blood type place. See? But once you go into the ancestry of them, you're going to get mixed up. Because why? What was the oldest recorded DNA of the ancestry line that you're following? That they put you into that incubator in. See? So you got to know these things. These things is fundamental. Everybody arguing who's fundamental Black America, who's African American. African American is a term to say you're African in America, outside of the diaspora. You don't want to be that. You want to be a foundational Black American. That's fine. Your blood type is still your blood type. Who gave you the blood type? Who gave you the O type? Who gave you A and B? Where did these blood types come from? They didn't come from your ancestors. They created blood types in the lab and they branded you. They branded you. See? You see, so we arguing amongst each other and it's not fundamentally sound. Forget about me going into the historic present. But who branded you with these blood types? Your great ancestors had nothing to talk about blood types. They gave you blood types so they could segregate you, reoppress you, oppress you, and brand you, and put a code on you, and create a birth certificate, create a law. That's how they was able to put you into the system of Social Security, IRS, taxes, by your what? Social Security number. Not by your color skin number alone. Why they gave you the alien number, the migrants. They gave them an alien number. That's why they number start with an A, because they alienated to American states, government, society. So you're an alien. That means you was born outside of the jurisdiction. You was born outside of the haplotype of America land and DNA. You was born outside of the mountain builders. You was born outside of the Southern Baptists. You was born outside of the mountain builders, who was the first builders of the original railroad. You was born before the Underground Railroad. You was a freedman. Should I go through it all? So your Constitution and your Constitution, who was that? Remember the laws that was made was, remember, it was Masonic, it was the Rosicrucians, the Masonic orders, the temple builders. That was right here in America. Right here in America. So the churches came, so the churches became a deposit of all of the temple builders, the Masonic orders, the Freemasons, the Lodge, the Rosicrucian. That was all here, right here in America. So your churches became the temple of man to distinguish white and black, through constitutional laws. That's how you register your churches. So you're arguing, your argument is not fundamentally sound. Your argument is not fundamentally sound. Because you're arguing over blood type that don't have a DNA that's older than what they bring in you. Because remember, they put you in this incubator so your DNA could be told to them to go and study your DNA. See? Because if remember now, these blood types is going to who? It is to find genes and haplotypes that is not registered in the Department of Archives. Go in the archives. If you don't have a genealogy of your family dating generation to generation, go to the archives. The archives have the documented land grant deeds that's there with the family member's name, going to the oldest family name that was registered in that deed. See? So what you arguing about? Oh, who's African? Who's American? You don't own the land. So your argument means what? You're not making laws. Trump is making executive orders. So you arguing, you're still under tyranny. You're still under a president that's not your skin color, king folk, ancestry folk, generational folk, haplotype. So what you gonna do with it now? You're still under the European, the Talmud. You're still under their capitalism and tyranny. So all you arguing, you get your stress high, your diabetes high, your blood pressure high, over what? What are you arguing for? You're not owning the land, you're not owning the stores, you're not owning the currency, you're not making bills. So except the orders get made every day by the pale skin, by the pale face. See? So stop the arguing. Know that your blood runs beyond shore to shore, cover to cover. Know that you living in America and born in America or outside America, you got the same fight regardless of your ancestry. We could keep digging up ancestry, who's African, who's non-African, who's black American, who's non-black African American. You could go through all these terms. There's terms to capitalize you of always being locked in as a Slavic. Okay? So if you're not a Slavic, what are you? Because all the systems and rules is made to lock you into tyranny in America. It's about capitalism. The matrix is about capitalism. The matrix is about locking you in to be a slave. So you got a birth certificate, you got an ID card, It's systematics to capitalize on your name, your numbers. Without numbers, you don't have data. Without numbers, you don't create data. So if you can't create data, you can't create slaves. So that's why you no matter you live off the grid, you're still locked into the system, because even if you're living off the grid, that means you got no Wi-Fi, you got no phone, you got no service. That means you're living only according to the ecosystem in your environment. Plants, wild beasts, wild food, radio systems. You're living off the grid. When you're living off the grid, you're not tied into no color code system. You're not tied into capitalism. You're not tied into to DNA systems and sequences that's not yours. Once you live in with a birth certificate, a social security card, an ID number, you're in the database. Once you got a Wi-Fi, an internet system, you're in the database. So when you arguing, if I'm a foundational Black American, African American, African, you arguing nothing that gets you nowhere, because the tyranny that's making the laws in America is run by a pale face. Okay, so we out here. So share the name, share the page, Dr. Qatar. We'll be coming to you, giving you more teachings, giving you more, okay, true bearers, all right? All right, so we'll be coming more and giving you the work. So share the name, share the page, get it right, and let's be great. Forget about racism, sexism. Rule the dominant hierarchy of yourself and your family. Racism, sexism, only capitalist America benefits off of that. You arguing about foundational Black America, Pan-African. Without Pan-Africanism, you don't have a boule, you don't have fraternities, you don't have HBCUs. So I don't want to go on and on. You don't got none of that. Okay? Because Pan-Africans, if it's done right and teach right and put in place the right way, then you understand how HBUs got their way to go. How the Rockefellers, Carnegies, how all these institutions was able to build off of the institutes of the Pan-African ideas. So when it was the Pan-African Congress, wasn't about saying only Africa, it was about having an independent social group outside of the Marcus Lenin, okay, outside of the socialism out of Europe and the Cold War. See? So get with Dr. Qatar. We got everything you need. History, healing, teaching, African traditions, world history, our systems, our psychology, and the healing of all our products of disease and nutrition. So get with us. And we've been doing this for a long time. We was hidden in the dark. We came to the light. Okay? So, Dr. Qatar, we get with you again.